But what is a god, and what is the concept of that there is almost 330 million gods?
It's a metaphysical concept, a very, very abstract thing. It's not even a light, nothing. It's just a power. In Ramayana, there is a slok. Whatever is your emotions in your heart, you perceive God in the same way. They all came up with religion. Religion is inherent to human psychology.
Well, welcome back everybody to the second episode of the podcast Entangled with Truth, where we have speakers who are really interested in a topic or have read and known a lot about the topic who are willing to share their information with us. Today with me I have Yogesh Thapliyal. He's very interested in religion, and he has also read a lot about religion. But I would not like to introduce him since my words just cannot express how much he has learned. So let me just give the mic to him.
Hey everybody, my name is Yogesh Thapliyal, and I am very much interested in learning about religion and religious concepts, and I am very willing to share it, to tell the world what I think about religion and religious concepts is. And it is a great thing that Swam has given me a chance to express my views on various religious topics, and I hope I can provide some insights into religion and its concepts for better understanding.
Right. I think that's one of the major things that I was talking with someone about, and they told me that asked them what's the point of learning a topic, what's the point of understanding a topic, and they told me that the point that is the very root point is to share it with others. Only they say that share your knowledge when you have learned it. And I think that's what Yogesh Uncle is doing with us today. He's sharing the knowledge that he has understood, deciphered, and learned. So we come to the very first question that has bamboozled everybody, or at least is very interesting to ask, since the answers are always different. So the very first question: what is the concept of religion?
That is an interesting question, and people confuse religion with spirituality. I keep the two terms separate. Religion for me is a man-made concept where people have banded together with common concepts about God, rituals, and something like ways to worship and festivals, and all of that collectively is called a religion. Mm-hmm. Opposed to that, there is something like spirituality, which only relates to God and our relation with God, and it is mostly internal. So religion, I think so, is what I feel is a man-made concept of people banding together with certain common concepts about God and the rituals and other practices relating to the worship of God.
Now that we know that basic definition of what is a religion, or what is the concept of religion, I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Why does religion exist?
I think so. If you look at communities which have developed in isolation, every community, like people who were the tribes who were in the Amazon jungles, or the sentinels of Andaman and Nicobar, or any other tribe or community, they all came up with religion. So I think so, religion is inherent to human psychology and human behavior. So wherever there is a group of people, they will have a religion, which is just a collection of practices to worship the Almighty, and that is a natural thing to humans. So religions formed in every community, even if they were isolated, and it did not need to be spread by only one group of people had that idea of common worship practices, common stories about their gods and what is right and what is wrong and morals and everything, and they only told it to other people. That is not there. It is inherent to the human mind that they will come up with such common practices and band together and call it as their religion. And most of the religions in the earlier times were naturally formed, where slowly practices were added and it became a large collection. Some of the people did not even name their religion. They were just, because they were not competing against any other religion, so they didn't even name their religion. But religion is something internal to human, and where there is any two people, they will form a religion.
Ah, I see. So that's also another interesting concept about this collective consciousness, or the collective ideas that humans have. It's also explored in general psychology. Carl Jung actually explored this concept where he defined them as archetypes. So this is a concept where people basically say that humans have a general idea of what the Almighty is. It's just inbuilt within them. It's just a general concept that they can consciously collect through dreams, through maybe experiences, but they just have it inbuilt in them. And I think that's why religions exist, is just to take all of that undivided energy and putting it towards one.
Towards one. And I am very happy, Swayam, that at a very young age you are reading so much about these topics and trying to understand the true concepts and how these religions might have formed. Knowledge takes you one level above the rest, and you will be more at peace with these concepts if you learn and read more. And I'm very happy that you are doing that.
And I think that's my goal as well. Is while me myself, I want to learn about the knowledge, I also want to share it with everybody who's
Yes,
watching these
yes.
videos to understand what it is. For people who do not have the chance to read the things firsthand, we have people who know about them talking to you. So do hit subscribe to see more podcasts with such amazing and awesome people who are willing to share their knowledge. But now coming back to following up with still the first question, we were talking about God, the Almighty, the God, whatever you can call him. But what is a God, and what is the concept of a God?
Okay. Now, in different religions, we already discussed about religions. Each religion has a God, and their concept of God is probably the same. Their expression of how they define their God might be varying in a little bit, but in essence, I think so all religions talk about the same God, the oneness of the God, and the all pervading force that controls and creates and maintains and recycles everything that is there in this universe. So that concept is common to all religions, and I can explain a little bit on this same concept, which is common to other religions, but they express it in a different way. In Hinduism, in Rig Veda, and in many Upanishads, it is written there about the one God. The term is as Brahman, not Brahmin. Brahmin is a caste, Brahman. And that is a metaphysical concept, like it is a very, very abstract thing. It cannot be seen. It's not even a light. Some people say, oh, I am seeing a bright light and God appeared before me. It's nothing. It's just like a set of rules. There are millions, billions, or trillions of laws of physics which control every aspect of this universe, and all together, put together, that force which through which this whole thing operates is kind of a God in Hinduism. And that is a very, very unique concept, where we cannot say that I have seen God, or I talk to the God, or anything like that. This is just a set of rules, and it is we in Hinduism pray to the aspects of it. But that central concept is the God, which is inanimate and and is over everything that we see, do. It has been there before this universe was created, now, and when everything will gone, that concept of God will still remain. So that is how I would like to explain the God concept, that it is a force that exists, which through which everything operates and everything got created. And there is one such force there which exists, which everybody prays to.
Right, and then this is actually really interesting because the last podcast we had, the speaker actually was comparing all of these religions and all of the basic gods to comparing them to basically computers. They were saying the hardware and the software and the operating systems, and they said operating systems are religions. So that's one thought to ponder about how
Yes.
the similarities between concepts that are observed. But now that we are talking about the concept of God, we're gonna dive deeper into one singular religion, which is Hinduism. And so to ask a question, what is Hinduism?
Okay. Hinduism is an ancient practice of worshipping God, concepts and related to the God, and ancient wisdom which has been put together. Earlier, it was in oral tradition, passed down from generations, and it was put together in the form of Vedas, the four Vedas, which are just books of knowledge, and we just you, you know depend on that Vedas for our knowledge, the concepts, and you know of God, and how to try to gain moksha, do good in the society, the concept of what is wrong and what is right, all come down from Vedas. I would also like to point out that the question was about Hinduism, but at that stage when Vedas were written, there is no word of Hindu in that Vedas, because the term was not coined. We just call the religion at that point of time to be Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan, which just means forever kind of thing, which has been continuing. So later on, as people from other faith invaded India or settled down, the term Hinduism came up. But now we call our religion with that name. But if you go to the very ancient books that we are having, that term is not being used. It's just Sanatan Dharma. And dharma also doesn't mean religion. Dharma means rightful duty. So, because there were no competing religions and we were not fighting against other people for converts and waging wars, that if I conquer you, you all have to convert to my religion, because that thing was not going on. It was a naturally formed concept and not a started by religion. So we did not use the term Hinduism at that time, but Sanatan Dharma. So right now, the Hinduism is are the group of people who are following that wisdom and practices as mentioned in our ancient text of various of the Vedas, various Puranas, Upanishads, and so on.
Right. And that's what it basically is. And before we move on, I would like to follow up on the question of the Sanatan Dharma. What is Sanatan Dharma? You said it's basically Hinduism before the term was coined, but I believe there are a couple of differences, aren't there?
Now, what kind of differences do you think?
Me myself, I don't know, but I've seen the term not being used in the same domain. Some people say that Sanatan Dharma has different practices than Hinduism.
Practices tend to change over time. If suppose I had a time machine and I can go back 2000 years, I would see the puja paddhati might be different. Slight differences come over time. The prayer, many of the prayers that we are doing are written at a certain point in history. Before that, that prayer might not have existed.
Right.
So, puja paddhati and what I can say, the prayers and other concepts keep changing over time. There is assimilation, like when we meet other religions, sometimes we take certain concepts from them, we give some concepts to them, and there is a mixing, and so many things occur. But the Sanatan Dharma is the original source. Those texts are the original source from where we took our core values. And then it spread down. Now we are having various sects, sampradayas, which perform the puja in a different way. They have a particular deity as their main god. All of those things are children of the original wisdom.
Right.
So things change and new concepts get added on and all of those things. But Sanatan Dharma, what I am saying is if we go back in history where the original concepts were formed and written down, that part I am calling as Sanatan Dharma.
Right. So now that you talked about the practices and the prayers and stuff, there's also another part to it: rituals.
Yes.
Well, what is the significance of these rituals and these prayers and these various other things that are performed?
Okay. Now that is a question where I have made my own concept of why are we doing the rituals? Are the rituals actually needed, or can it be eliminated, or can it be changed, or those things? I came up with my own theory on looking at various rituals in our religion, in Hinduism, and even in other religions. I looked at many of them and later on thought, are we following these rituals actually for God, or are we doing it for ourselves? The concept, when rituals are done, usually people perform saying the God is asking for it, or we are doing as our devotion to God. Sometimes I feel the God is not asking for it. It is for us that we are doing that rituals. It is for our satisfaction. When a person has a big puja and feeds 100 people or something like that, is the God asking for it, that he needs to spend so much money? And a poor person who cannot afford this kind of a ritual, will he not get any good karma, any punya? I think so. We are doing it for our own satisfaction. I would give a example which I thought would be, more. We'll explain this thing. When a person dies, his descendants, his sons, daughters, other members of the family, they have elaborate rituals for the death thing. Now, certain things are scientific based, like when we cremate the body, there is sutak for certain numbers of days where those people do not meet other people, like touch other people. They do not cook food. Food is given by the neighbors. Those are concepts which have certain scientific backing, whereas because at that time when the knowledge of germs and these diseases were not so much, the wise people might have noticed that a person died, he died with some kind of disease, and in this household there can be some of its remnants back. So it is better to quarantine that family for a few days, give them some food, let them be. When the basic quarantine period is over, let them come out and again assimilate into the society. Those are all scientific things, and I am very happy that it was done. It without actual technological thing like a knowledge of viruses, bacteria, various communicable diseases. The elders in our society, based on what they noticed, devised these rules. So those are having scientific backing. But then there are other things which I call as rituals, which are healing processes. Like they do a puja after the Sutak period is over. They feed something, they shave the hair, and any other thing, they donate some things. Those kind of things, I think so, are part of the healing process. When a child loses a father or a mother, I think so, they have a thing that we did not do enough for our parents in their lifetime, or something, and they are very sad and restless about it. To bring a feel some kind of healing, when they do all of these things, feed 100 people, donate on their name of their father and mother and everything, it's not the father and mother, they are already dead. They are not getting any benefit out of this, but
Right.
the person who is performing this ritual is healing himself out of the sadness or the shock that he got on losing a close family member. So I think so these rituals are very important in having a psychological effect, and we perform various rituals at various times for our own satisfying our own mental cravings. That we need to do something so that we can feel nice about it. And that's how so many of these rituals came up. But certain types of practices, as I mentioned, the Sutak period, those are having scientific basis.
Back inside.
Yes.
So it's basically rituals are not it's not really about the pleasing something. It's just that filling a sort of like a gap that you have, or you need to heal something that you have not done, or you feel like you have not done enough, or maybe even in some scenarios just trying to I guess just healing your soul instead of healing some actual wound.
Yes, you're healing your conscience. Your soul is being healed. It is good for your healthy mind. Your psyche also has to heal. They are in a shock. They are feeling that they did not do enough for their parents during their lifetime, and by doing that, they are making up for it, and they feel good about it, which restores their mental they mentally. A wound is not something which you can see. There psychological imbalances, those sadness, those are in today's society are again being recognized. But these were recognized by our ancient wise people, also elders, and they devised these rituals around them.
Right. So now we know why rituals are important. And now that we know that rituals are important, we really have to go back to the question about gods, right? Because we have noticed that especially in Hinduism, there's a large amount of gods, or at least people like to believe that there's a large amount of gods. I'm not sure if that's true. When I searched it up on Google, or even when I asked a couple of people, they said the number must be in millions. And when I actually searched it up on Google, I found out that there's almost 330 million gods. So what is the significance of such a large number of gods?
That is a very, very good question. And that also explains that when people dive deeper into their religion and read those books and get the actual meaning of what is being said, rather than reading just the words and interpreting it literally, they become more wise and they understand what is written, what the concept is. There are, I would like to, in Ramayana, there is a slok, जिसकी रही भावना जैसी प्रभु मूरत देखी तिन तैसी. What does this mean? Whatever is your emotions in your heart towards God, you perceive God in the same way.
Right.
And it's not something which I came up with today. Even in Ramayana, it is mentioned the same thing. And Hinduism does not restrict you from expressing your emotions.
Right.
That is why we are having a Hanumanji, a Narsimha avatar with the half lion, half man, and various god riding on a lion or on a elephant or on a peacock or on a having various weapons in their hand, looking in a different way, because those are the expression of that person's emotions. So we have so many. Now to the point of your 33 crore gods. That 33 crore gods is a mistranslation. What we I have already explained that actually there is only one God.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But we can say that, okay, what is God doing now? Right now, what is God doing?
Right.
Right now, वो हमारा पालन कर रही है. He is maintaining this universe. He is
Right.
maintaining. So based on the various aspects of the same God that we are having, different functions that the God performs, we are having various types of classifications for the deities. You know, the term 33 koti devtas is often mistranslated as crore, 10 million, but it refers to 33 type of Vedic deities. The 33 Vedic deities are 12 Adityas, including Vishnu, 8 Vasus, including 5 Mahabhutas, 11 Rudras, including Shambhu or Shiva, Indra, and Prajapati, that is Brahmaji. So those form the 33 different types of deities. And it is not 33 million gods. That is a mistranslation. If you just read it literally, sentence by sentence, you might get that kind of a meaning. But sometimes having a more learned person who can explain those concepts, or that you learn the things so much that you become yourself a guru, would help you in understanding these things. These are very important, especially for children who are living here in Western countries or outside of India, because sometimes other people in school or office or somewhere might have read the same thing, and they will question the Indians, Hindu, about,
Right.
oh my, you are having 330 million people, gods, and all that. So we should explain the one God concept and the how we perceive the God according to what it is doing, and these classification of deities.
Right. And now, diving into this, what are these classifications mean? I heard you said that there's also a concept of a God with a capital G and a God with a small lowercase g. So why these classifications?
It is very difficult to worship an inanimate object.
Right.
If I tell you, okay, we have to focus, there is a God, you cannot see it, you cannot hear it, you cannot, nothing. How does it look? It doesn't look at all. It has no form, nothing. It becomes very difficult to concentrate towards such an inanimate object, like
Right.
which has nothing. It's just a power. So in other religions also, people have come up who claim to be worshipping that one inanimate thing. They also use certain indicators, like a direction. Everybody should face a particular direction
Right.
while praying. What if I am praying with the same emotion in my heart, with the same respect and devotion, but facing another direction? Will it not be accepted? That is a question. But those indicators are used there also. In Christianity, they have, in Catholicism, they have a Jesus on a cross as a focusing tool so that they can focus. Similarly, we are having our own concepts of God so that we have some form to worship.
Right.
And it is not so inanimate, and that is why we are having these kinds of, we have classifications, something close to us, that somebody is very poor and he's seeking wealth. So he would imagine a God who can give us wealth. So he would imagine a Lakshmi Ma, something kind of
Right.
who because that is his current need,
State,
you know. And some suppose a tribe or a community is facing violence from another community or another tribe or something, then they would need power, they would need inspiration to rise up and fight and take up arms. Then they would want a god which will fulfill that kind of emotions in them. So they would look forward for Durga Ma or Kali or something like that, and that's how the whole concept is.
Right, and now that we're done with the concept and understanding what are these different classifications and the huge number, we were talking about multiple books or multiple I don't think you can call them books, but basically written texts that have old knowledge. Like for example, you talked about the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. These are all essentially books, but also pages filled with knowledge. So would you call these myths or truths?
Okay. Ramayana and Mahabharata are actual happenings. So they are our epic stories which actually happened, and certain parts of it might look like, oh, how can that happen or something. Certain parts might be added by the writer himself who wrote that thing. But the core of the story is a true event that has happened in history. But you can talk about those myths as some of the stories which are written in the Puranas or in Upanishads and various where a Rakshas was coming towards a Kailash and this happened and that happened, or this god did this and fought with the Rakshas, and those all have allergical meaning. That means Sanketic indication. They are designed to teach you something. And it is not only in Hinduism that this is done, that there is a example set with a certain story. So I am keeping Ramayana and Mahabharata out of this because those are true events that happened which have been recorded in a book. And certain aspects of it can be added by the writer of that thing. But I term it as true happenings. But other stories about what is mentioned in the Puranas, Upanishad, Vedas, and all of this, many of them have a Sanketic meaning, and to teach you what I should say, to teach you something from that incident. Every story would be, okay, we learn this thing from this story, this is the example. And you know, like, it is not only that concept is in Hinduism or Sanatan dharma. In Islam, hadith is a collection of incidents from their prophet's life, which the Muslims refer to for guidance. When they need guidance on what to do in a certain situation, so they refer to that book. So those things also have an analogical meaning. So not like that, but those are true incidents which are in a book where the people refer to. So they take reference from that. So we take reference from these stories which are there in our ancient book, where we get a reference on, okay, in this form, see, this happened when that guy did this, see what end he got. So we get some kind of a moral out of the story or some kind of a learning.
Right. So it's just like the moral of the stories, like the childhood stories that people used to read about all the animals and stuff. Can you just dive a little bit more deeper into this concept of the gods, like the capital G and the lowercase g? You know, I don't know if it's somewhere. I'm not sure what it means actually.
Okay, you might be meaning that the true gods, the true powers versus the the deities that we have for each aspect of our nature, like the sun god, the moon god, the wind god, and those kinds of things. How I imagine it is like there is a true power, which is the only power, which is absolute in itself. It is the reason for everything that is and that is not. That one true power, we can kind of say it like the government. The government is the true power and it is responsible for everything in the country. But can you see the government? Can you say that this guy is the government or that lady is the government? Government is not something. You can only feel its force that it is governing you. But then these wind god, sun god, moon god, Indra, these different devtas are like government officials, which are performing different duties. What we can say is that the forces of nature. When we name a force of nature like wind as wind devta, because wind affects us and we need to, it is not that we can just ignore it, but and or like the forest devta or any other thing, it affects us. It is like the officials which are performing the functions which are told to them by that government, that one force. So that is how I conceptualize the God with the big G, which is that one force, and the so many ones that we have names for the different forces of nature. Those are the gods with the small g, which are actually not gods but kind of forces of nature for which we have names, and the one universal God operates through them, like the government officials that we deal with.
Right. So that's a really nice concept, and I'm really thankful we could cover that and understand that concept, since that's one thing that's almost bugging everybody. You search something up on Google and it tells you the gods and 330 billion gods, but it's actually just the difference between deities and then the one god. And yeah, it's good that we could clear that up for the people who are viewing, of course. And if you know someone who is not viewing our YouTube channel, maybe you should share this link and let them know. Because it is really interesting, the next few topics that we are going to cover over the couple podcasts that we are going to have. So now that we are done with the gods, now that we're done with all the concepts and we have cleared those parts, I want to go into a more physical form.
Okay.
More of temples.
Okay.
So what is so important about a temple? Or why does the temple exist? Like such big, magnificent structures, why?
It's like a community hall. Like for the people who are following that same religion, what I said, like the group of people following the same worship practices, same festival, names of the gods are the same, and they need a gathering place. And those like we, for every community, like we have a large subdivision, suppose like 300 houses. We build a clubhouse there where everybody can congregate and engage in an activity. So temples perform a very important task of having a community place where people of a religion can come together, celebrate their festival, take part in satsang. Satsang. The word satsang means, sat means truth, sang means together. Together searching for truth is satsang. So perform satsang, kirtan and different other thing. Also people visit either daily or on certain occasions temple for more focus. They have an altar at home where they pray. But then there is a special day today, it's my birthday. I would go to the temple for more focus towards the God. And then there is a related concept. We are not praying to the statue, the murti in the temple or at home. We are using it as a focusing tool. But your question is of the temple. So temples are very important for a community to sustain itself, to bring togetherness and collectively celebrate things.
So I think the last speaker that we had on the podcast, they also talked about another interesting concept to do with temples. They said that they're like charging ports. Like we have public charging ports and public chargers, but then we also have private chargers at home, like you said, altars that we have at home which are private. But then we also have these public charging, wireless charging ports, which is basically just charging back up your focus in a way. Yeah, and that's really interesting. But now that we have understood what temples are, this is a trend that I've seen recently among a lot of kids and a lot of my friends. Parents usually, like you said, visiting temples on a day-to-day basis or even a weekly basis on Fridays, Thursday, whatever day. They usually tend to force children to come with them, even if out of their if they don't want to do it, they still like you must do it. Like it's a must. Well, why? Well, why is it a must?
Okay. Parents have a duty to inculcate values in the children. Now, these religions are not existing just like that. They also give out a concept of morals, what is right and what is wrong in life. Whether you can do this, is doing this, is stealing okay, is adultery okay, if this thing is wrong or right. These morals also come from religions. Now, when the child is born, it's like a blank paper. And the parents inculcate their values in the children. When the child grows up, its environment, the child's experience also contributes to the upbringing, the psyche that the child develops as he grows up. But an important concept is the religion and the concept of God and the morals, what is right, what is wrong. So, and the festivals and various rituals and practices, to inculcate that in a child, the parents tend to take the child with them to the temple so that the child can also experience it. If the child later grows up to become an atheist, that's not something which the parents can do anything about. But as a child, every parent would try to inculcate the moral values and the religious system in the child, and that's why they take them to the temple. And I would not say it is like forcing. In the temple, there is nothing which would be very the child would not. It is a fun place also and different experience. But in case the parents are telling them, you have to come with us, it's the same thing. You have to go to school. If given a chance, the children will not go to school. They will play outside all day. So parents are not like forcing them. It's just everybody has to go to school to get educated. Same way for your spiritual and religious education and more extra, you go to the temple. I would like to again emphasize that a temple where we go and pray to the statue, I would not call it idol. Idol in English means false god. So a statue, a murti is a good name. And till the time I cannot find a better name, I would use murti or statue as the name. We use it as a focusing tool. We worship the power behind it, not the thing itself. But a temple is created for such religious purposes, gives us more concentration of focus on the God. We feel more better that we have gone to the temple and we did our prayers there. And that's why people go to the temple and they take their children also there.
So now talking about the murtis or the gods or the statues. Before we move on to that, I also had another thing about the blank slate thing that you said. When a child is born, they're a blank slate. If anybody here knows Rene Descartes, who is of course a famous philosophical figure, he actually figured out a way of explaining this. He said that tabula rasa, which means a blank slate. Whenever a person is born, they're a blank slate. They don't have no knowledge. So through empirical view or through understanding and experiencing the world, they build that knowledge. They keep on
Yes.
writing on that slate, so they have some information on that slate. So it's really interesting again to note how there are similarities between thought processes among people who are like part of religions or even individuals who have really focused on different parts of human brain. So now coming back to the statues, we have understood that Indian gods are supposed to promote peace. Or essentially, at the end of the day, the goal is that every Vasudeva Kutumbakam, or everybody is a
Yes.
family. So
Yes. Yes.
essential world peace. So if Indian gods are supposed to promote peace, why do they hold weapons? Or why do all these statues hold, I would say, nuclear weapons and really like violent weapons?
As I said earlier, that the true God has no form, but these are our imaginations of the God. And each God has aspects of benevolence, that we are wishing for something and they might give us that. And then there is our concepts of, if you do wrong, then there is a punishment for doing wrong. Also, certain gods are worshipped for power. So they have a form like that. So when we are worshipping certain gods who are the warrior gods, or from where, if we are going to a war and before that we are worshipping, those are made in that form, having all those kinds of weapon. But different gods, some gods, like they are even having a shank in the hand, the Vedas books in the hand, weapons, which are showing all aspects in that God. So those having that weapons in the hand, I am not sure what other people might be interpreting out of it, but I am just interpreting it as completeness, that there is benevolence, there is punishment for doing wrong, and other symbols, like some gods have six hands or something, they hold knowledge, like Vedas in one hand, and so it has different meanings. And in various ancient texts actually mention the meaning of each of those things which are being held. I might not be able to explain all of them, but I have read about these things. Okay, when Vishnu is having so many hands and in this hand he is holding this, which means this. So those meanings are already mentioned in the book. So we just have to dive a little bit deeper and get it out.
Well, that's a really interesting thing as well. That finally understanding why these weapons are held. I know other people when they look at it, especially people who are not aware of the culture that much, they look at the weapons and they just think, oh, this must be violence. But sometimes they're also meant to symbolize other stuff as well. For example, the Trishul or
Yes.
the trident that is held by Shiva. It's meant to symbolize the three worlds as well as some other aspects as well. So now moving away from that of gods and statues, I want to ask you, what is karma? Karma is a recurring concept that is explained in, I think, the Gita, and it's also used by a lot of people saying that you must not do bad karma, you must not do this thing, that thing. But what is karma?
In very simplistic term, karma is just the fruits of your actions. If you, okay, let's take it like that. What is the ultimate goal of a Hindu, a Sanatan Dharma's life? What are we trying to achieve in our lives. Whatever, in Hinduism, it's not that only humans are Hindus. Every being is a Hindu. Or animal is also a Hindu, because the same person goes through different stages of life. So he goes from a bacteria, virus thing, to a human, to everything. But why are we living? What is the aim of our life?
Right.
The aim of our life is to get moksha. What is moksha? Moksha means I do not want to get born in this world again. This should be my last life, and I want to go. My soul needs to go back to the Paramatma. My Atma needs to go back to the Paramatma and become one with the Almighty. And that is when I will be resting and at peace. So, how do we achieve that? Certain concepts are religious concepts, and this is what bonds a religion. Okay, we have this concept, and are you following this concept? If you are following this concept, then you are from my religion, something like that. So this concept of how do we enforce this concept, that okay, you have to get moksha. What will get you moksha? You will get moksha through good deeds. Mm-hmm. If your punya is very high, tapobal is very high through other means yoga or something, or by doing good, you will, the good karma, which is the action. Karma is just the reaction to your action. Mm-hmm. The good karma means punya, which is the result that you get from your good things. Is punya, and the reactions that you accumulate from doing bad things is pap. Mm-hmm. And this concept of doing good and avoiding bad to achieve moksha is the basis of our existence. That is why we are in this form, humans. We have to use our intellect to be able to decide on what we are doing and choose the right things in our life, so that we can accumulate good karma and achieve moksha. And that is the karma concept.
Now, I do have a question regarding moksha. Why is it so bad to be rebirth in this world? Like, you just said that our goal is to be not be rebirth, but why is it? What is so bad about the world that you don't want to be rebirth?
It's called as Mrityulok in concept, and these are all part of religion. Okay, the religion part, the rules which are written, the concepts which are explained as a religion, and you can say that I do not believe in any of these things, and I just pray to that Almighty, and whatever will happen will happen. We'll see. That can be another problem. But if you are following a religion, then you read its concepts and then you follow that concept or believe in those concepts or something like that. So this is the Mrityulok. There is dukh, sukh, misery, happiness, pleasure. Everything is mixed in this. We suffer through this thing. We become sick. And our body, which is like just a cloth that we are wearing, to the soul, is the body that we are having, goes through various pains and various kinds of miseries in this life. Sometimes there is pleasure, we are happy. Sometimes, what if that we can come to a state when we are always at pleasure? There is no misery at all. Mm-hmm. Won't you want to be in that state where you are always happy? It's always a pleasure. You are not having any negative feelings. You are always feeling satisfied and peace, like Shanti. Shanti, not peace, means not peace from war. Mental peace. You are always having an equilibrium. and feeling very nice. That state is moksha. That moksha can give you that state, that you are free from these worldly things, and your soul, the body is not you. How I also explain is, I am I and you are you.
Yes.
If we switch our brains, I will become you and you will become me. How you are looking has nothing to do with that, because you are your brain. Your thoughts will become my thoughts. Your consciousness will become my consciousness. So in Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma, it is said that your consciousness, your soul, Chaitanya is you. And your body is just like a cloth that you wear. So, and I very much believe that one's brain, that inside consciousness is what he is or she is. And we would like to come at an equilibrium where we are always happy and always free from this misery, and that is moksha. And that is why we want to get relieved from this cycle and become permanent. My soul should be at a permanent peace. And that is what we are trying to achieve, and that is what the moksha is. And we can also say that if we keep God out of it, we can say that our elders try to give us this concept to ensure that every human being in the society tries to do something good,
Right.
so that the society can thrive. Those concepts were made so that they can impress upon people that always do the good thing. If there is no such concept of good versus bad, people will have no motivation for doing good. Because if it's not going to affect them. So these concepts were made so that the society thrives and it can develop.
Right. So about again coming back to moksha, we have seen people who everybody wants moksha essentially after a certain point in their life. After if people have read enough about this, moksha is quite a thing that almost attracts you because it's essential unlimited happiness, unlimited bliss. But is it required to turn into an ascetic, or is it required to turn into a person who just meditates all day, prays all day to gain moksha, or is it just anything else works?
No. There is no reason to become a ascetic or a monk or anything to achieve moksha. There is no such prescription in any of our holy books, the books of wisdom, I should say, where becoming a sadhu, a monk, is essential for achieving moksha. You can achieve moksha in grahastha ashram also, where you are living the life of a normal householder. It is just a balance between the good karma and the bad karma. I do not even think so that the sadhus who have given up the sansaric life, the have become monks, and they are doing it for moksha. They are actually trying to search higher meaning out of all the concepts of God. They are in search, and that's they are just become sadhus to be away from the attachments of the world, so they can give their full focus on that search. And that is why they have become sadhu. But if I am doing something good, I am getting the same good karma that any monk is getting when he is doing good. When he is meditating, he is doing something else. He is searching at that time, focusing on that abstract God concept and trying to realize its true meaning and true force is what he is trying to do. But karma is divided equally for every people. And if I am in the sansaric world, like the material world, and I am doing something good, trying to help people out, and then I am getting the same phal, that the same fruits of my good work.
So now that we come to the fruits in the Gita again, there's a thing written about it is said that one must not worry about the fruits, one must not worry about the final result of their karma or of their action. What does this really mean? Well, what are the fruits? What are the actions? And why shouldn't we worry about the results?
Yeah, karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadach. That's what you are talking about, and it reinforces the previous sentence which I said, that we don't have to become a sadhu. You don't have to worry about, just do your about the fruits, like the sadhu is getting more fruits, more good karma out of this or something. What Sri Krishna has said in Gita, Gita is just a conversation between two people. Okay, and I think so. Mahabharata has 100,000 verses, out of which 800 verses comprise of the Gita. When the time was still and only time was going on for two people and they were talking, whereas the rest of the universe, the time had stopped. In that, Sri Krishna is saying, human's job is to concentrate on his actions, on his duties, and doing good. How it is God's responsibility to give him the fruits of that thing. So you don't worry about, okay, I am going to feed 5 poor people today. Okay, how much am I getting for it? Good karma. That is God's responsibility. You just concentrate on your good activities. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to do any good or something, whatever other people might be making a meaning out of it. For me, it just means that we should concentrate on doing good. Let God handle our karma balances.
See, I believe it's the same thing when people are working hard towards a certain topic. It's really hard to not focus on the results. But I believe if you balance it correctly and do probably 80% actual hard work and 20% worry, instead of 80% worrying
Yes.
and 20% hard work, or even in another sense, 90% and 10. If you do something like that, you're still going to get the results. But if someone just focuses the majority on results, then it's just bound that you're not doing enough work. So I think that's just what
Very good, very
puts
good,
it in.
very good way of explaining the same thing. Yes.
So now we're at the final segment of our podcast today. The final question. Hopefully, everybody who's watching this video right now, who is sharing this video, or even people who are on their spiritual part or are about to start their spiritual path, hopefully this video has helped you out a lot. And we are always free to answer any questions if you put them in the comments down below. We'll try to answer it in the most unbiased and the best way possible. And now on the last question.
Okay.
As youth, or even as some adults enter their spiritual journey, you definitely need teachers who can guide you. You need gurus who can guide you towards that path. Who are like who won't allow you to stray too much away. They can just keep you on that path. But now people are confused by the vast number. There's just so many gurus. I feel like yesterday itself I was looking at a online page and there was like about more than 100 gurus. And how can people understand which one to follow and which ones to not follow? Like, why are there so many gurus?
I would say to the question of which one to follow and which one to not follow is that unless you has a realization that a person can guide you towards something, you cannot accept him as a guru. So you don't have, there is never a choice which one to follow and which. It's not like, okay, I've come to buy a bicycle, which one to buy, this brand, that brand, mountain bike or any other kind of a bike. It is a realization that when you feel that this person is the right person for me as a guru, as a spiritual guide, then only you can accept him as a guru. So I would kind of say that don't try to find a guru. You will, if you are going to have a guru, you will come across that guru automatically. When you meet him, when you talk to him, slowly you will get influenced and you will come at peace, and so many of your questions which have been going around in your mind will get answered, and that is when you will feel person can be a very good spiritual guide for me, and this would be my guru. So you never have a choice that whom to choose. If you randomly choose a person, he might be the very opposite of what you might be seeking actually. And in the form of guru, I have something which I can. Divine is seen as a special way in the form of guru. Okay? Guru means remover of darkness, and it is considered that Ishtadev or Ishvara takes this form, divine grace, comes in the form of a human guru to bless a sincere devotee to guide them towards the true knowledge. Hence, in some bhakti margas, paths of devotion, such as Navavidha, ninefold bhakti, Guru is considered to be even more above Ishvara, as Guru is the special form of the all-pervading Ishvara that is available to that person as his personal guide. Okay? So some what I would, there is another question which I am trying to answer with this thing. Some people start worshipping their guru itself.
Right.
How is that possible? So those persons are having such a high devotion towards that same God through their guru, and that's what that is. But like actually that person is not God, and would not be, but through him he is worshipping the same thing because he is guiding them towards that spirituality. But to your question about choosing a guru, you don't have to even worry about choosing a guru. You will get a guru when it is time for you to get one. Just by meeting people, talking to them, you will find the right person when it is the right time.
It's essentially tying back to the point where don't worry about the fruits, just do the...
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So now that we are finally done with the podcast, here's a couple of things that I would say. Listen, don't follow. One major important thing that I would say is that even right now, people who are listening to this podcast, do not immediately subscribe to the ideologies that people talk. Explore, understand different perspectives, knowledges, and different things that are available. And finally, after once you understand everything, or if you have enough knowledge, which is also considered jnana, once you have enough of that, then you can start moving a little bit more forward. Or what do you know? While collecting this knowledge, you might just be so forward. So that's about it for today's podcast. Hopefully everybody who's been watching this for the last 1 hour, we also have timestamps in the video for specific questions that you can come back to if you have any specific doubts in that certain questions. And if you have any other suggestions or if you have any other questions, just post them in the comments down below. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Bye bye.